So last night, I'm home and I'm editing a podcast that we did over the telephone a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm not really listening to it because I know what to do, and Audacity's been acting up recently.
Yeah.
And I get an email saying that my account has been compromised.
Oh.
My Wells Fargo account.
Yeah.
So I kind of stop in the middle of it or near the end of the process, and I call them, get things straightened out. Long story short is I'm going to have to wait a week and a half for a new bank card.
And I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It's not your fault, babes.
Yeah, I know.
So I go back to the podcast.
Yeah.
And post it on a Google Drive, then download it and listen to it just to make sure it sounds okay.
Did it?
Well, so here's what's up.
Yeah.
When we had done it over the phone, I record it twice. I record it on my iPad, but I also record it through my mixer.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different reasons of it. One is you have a backup, but two, if you have a copy that's on the mixer, it gives you more channels, meaning if there's a sound problem with the one we do on the iPad, I can edit it, but it's going to edit, all the audio. But if I have, let's say, an issue with a phone connection and they're staticky, but I recorded yours on a separate channel and mine on a separate channel, it's easier to edit mine without it affecting the rest of the recording too much. So I get it, the one yesterday, from the mixer. I took out the SD card, put it in my Mac, and it takes a while. I have to restart the Mac because for some reason the Mac and my mixer don't mix well together. So I can do it, but it's a process.
Yeah.
And it's not the right recording. And I don't realize that until it's already on Google. Now, luckily, I hadn't posted it out to people yet.
Good.
So I go to the iPad to listen to it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't have to get out the SD card again and do the whole process, which would take about 45 minutes. And the iPad version, it sounded like it needed some heavy editing. Now we're around 6, maybe? No, I take that back. I realized this after I got off the phone with you. So it's maybe 6:30 or 6:45. And I just think to myself, I don't want to go through all that nonsense. So we'll save the audio from the one we did over the phone. It's like a lost episode type thing. For like when you're out of town sometime.
Yeah.
And I'll just post one that we did in person. And that's what I did. I posted the one that we did about Teal Swan a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's...
Oh, okay.
So look forward to a phone conversation in the future there.
Right. So you're going to post it later?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, at a time to be determined. Okay. But it will be out of order.
Okay, it's fine. But, podcasts are sometimes out of order, so...
Sometimes they are. I saw something good.
What's that?
For me, maybe. I mean, it's not like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But you're in the kitchen maybe like 20 minutes ago. And I turned on my phone and saw that Kyle from Secular Talk was back on Joe Rogan.
Oh.
So that's
I remember you told me that.
Yeah, because he had been planning to do that, but I forgot the date.
Oh.
And so I'm sure I heard that it was supposed to be today, but I didn't really comprehend it until I saw it. And I thought that was nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to listen to. Yeah, even though you don't listen to Joe Rogan.
I don't.
Oh?
I'm just not like a super, I'm not like an all-out podcast person, really.
I had lunch with a friend of mine last week. And he said that I turned him on to Joe Rogan and kind of started getting him into listening to podcasts in general because of a video I sent him right before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
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 We've discussed this many times. I think Joe has gone a little bit too conservative for my taste. And the show just isn't as good as it used to be. And that's not just to do with the fact that he has more conservatives on. There's a few different factors to it. But it's still a good show that I'll check out on occasion. But it's not this must listen to that it was for a long time. For me. How do you feel about that?
Well, sometimes shows have to change, and whether we like it or not. I mean, there are shows that I've watched where it's like, oh, that I noticed this change and it's not as great as it was before.
Yeah, it was weird. I was actually listening to Kyle from Secular Talk on Kyle and Corin last weekend. And he wasn't talking about Joe. He was talking about, like, there's these golf YouTube channels. And apparently Kyle is really into golf.
Oh, wow.
And he said that he used to watch some of these channels when they'd have, like, less than 30,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And it was very amateurish, but it was kind of fun because the people didn't know what they were doing.
Okay.
And as it started to grow, they'd buy more equipment and try different things. And at first it was kind of fun, but then they kind of become more conventional and become more like, I don't know, ESPN than just this independent golf channel. At least that's what I believe his take was. Because I was doing other things as I was listening. And that's kind of how I feel about Joe Rogan. Like, near the beginning, it was a lot of fun. It was a little bit immature. And then they started to grow. And at first it was really cool because they could get on more interesting guests. Like, I still remember him and Red Band talking about how they weren't sure if they were going to be able to get Graham Hancock to come on it. Right?
Oh, wow.
Who's an amazing author, by the way. And then eventually it gets to this point to where the innovations are cool. And then at some point it kind of becomes like a regular talk show with more commercials, less honesty, more mainstream ideas talked about on the show. Or ideas talked about in a more mainstream way. And I think that things suffer in a sense when they get too popular like that. How do you feel about what I just said?
I mean, I guess I don't think of it that way. I just think of, like, the subtle changes in shows.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. The thing I don't like, though, and I'm not talking about a specific show, but I remember watching the 3 YouTube links that you sent me. And in the middle of one of the videos, then there was an ad, which is really annoying. Like, why do you have to pop up when I'm watching a cooking video?
So I will tell you this, I don't get those ads.
I know you don't.
Because I have YouTube Red.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much does it cost?
It costs $10 a month.
Yeah.
But the advantage of it is you also get access to YouTube's music streaming service.
Yeah, and I could also listen to stuff on Google too.
What do you mean?
Well, like YouTube Music.
Yeah, exactly. It's YouTube Music. So yeah, you could listen to it with your Google device that's in the living room or on your iPad. And also because a lot of YouTubers now, instead of having ads embedded into their videos later, they'll do ad reads.
Yeah.
And they still have those on YouTube Red, but you can fast forward through them.
Ad reads?
Yeah.
Like somebody's reading the ad?
So like, let's say I'll say, Alana, we just talked about the death of America, and this video is brought to you by the NRA.
Okay.
Check out, enter code word death to America to get
5%
off your next purchase. But if you didn't want to hear me say that, by the way, they did not sponsor this.
No, they didn't.
You could fast forward through that part.
Okay.
As opposed to Google just inserts ads in the middle.
Or like a sponsor, like a bakery as a sponsor or something.
Something like that.
Okay.
You know what annoyed me this week, babes?
A lot of things?
A lot of things. That's actually a great answer. More specifically, though, Rick Rubin has a book out.
Yeah.
Which I do plan to read. That didn't annoy me that he has a book out. Because I'm a Rick Rubin stan, as I think most people who are into music should be. Like, even you would agree, this guy is a genius.
I guess. I don't, yeah.
Yeah. But he does a podcast with somebody else who I'm also a fan of, Malcolm Gladwell. I like them separately. I don't really dig their podcasts, though.
You don't like their podcast? Why?
Well, it's a little bit too NPR to me. Obviously. And I don't like how podcasts now, every one of them is trying to sound like NPR. So you probably want some examples for this. In one of the episodes, it's just Rick Rubin, and he's talking to Andre 3000 from Outcast. And it's a really good conversation. But they do that NPR thing to where it can only be an hour long. Because, like, about an hour into it, this narrator stops it, who I think is their announcer, actually. And he says something like, the conversation continued, and Rick and Andre talked about this, this, and this, but unfortunately, we're not going to air that because we're out of time for today. And to me, a good show is however long it needs to be. So I don't know if they specifically say this, but my take on it is their thought process is this is more than an hour and less than 2 hours, so it doesn't fit in that NPR style of doing things. But not everything has to be NPR. And I'll give you another example. So Rick Rubin also interviewed on his show Run the Jewels. Are you familiar with them?
No.
They are a rap duo, but it consists of LP, who I'm not an LP fan of his rapping, but he was on Raucous Records back in the day as a member of Company Flow. And after he left Raucous, he started a label called Definitive Jux, which put out some really interesting music. They were an independent record label in like the mid 2000s. They had like The End of the Beginning from Murs was on there. Mr. Lift put out an album on Def Jux and a bunch of other people. So it's him and it's Killer Mike, who used to be associated with Outkast. He's on that song Never Scared with Bone Crusher. And so they're talking. The announcer of the show would sometimes interrupt the conversation and say, we'll be right back after this. But instead of airing a commercial, they do something even more lame. They just air a couple seconds of silence and come back to the conversation.
Oh, wow.
Like, you're not even breaking it up so you guys can...
Or like playing music.
Right, you're not even breaking it up so you guys can get a little bit of money. You're just breaking it up just to break it up. And I don't like it when conversations are like that. I like to hear a conversation from beginning to end. Like what Joe Rogan used to do, where he'd do it. Yeah, you'd hear some ads at the beginning, but when the conversation started, there wouldn't really be any interruptions. Does that make any sense to you, babes?
I guess.
Yeah, how do you feel about it?
I don't really nitpick at that stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be annoying to hear silence in the middle of it. I would like to have, at least some music. But yeah, I get it.
I say don't even have the announcer come on. Just have the conversation go as long as it's going to go and let it end naturally.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But I'm not like really like nitpicky because I don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah,
much.
But I do keep hearing really good things about Rick Rubin's new book. So I might have to check that out there. Jaylo.
How long has he been in the business for? That you know of, anyway.
Since the early 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, he's the co-founder of Def Jam, babes.
Yes.
Yeah. He produced LL's first album.
Oh, I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Yep. So good stuff there, Jaylo.
But I don't know much about Rick Rubin only because I'm not as deep into hip-hop as you are.
But even if you're not a hip-hop fan...
I have heard his name before, though.
He's done other great things. He worked with Tom Petty a lot. The later Johnny Cash albums, I think he did all of those. So many great artists that I'm, leaving out. We've talked about him many times.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
We have.
So I'm excited to read his book.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. Babes.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into it, but we had a disagreement this morning. And I know we discussed it, but sometimes it may be helpful for people to hear what our disagreements are.
I really don't think so.
Okay, you told me before we started doing this that we were not allowed to talk about this.
No, I think I made it very clear that I didn't want everybody to know about our squabbles.
And my only take is this is kind of like an archive of our lives. So it's good to have that stuff out there in case people want to listen back and get a sense of where we were.
Oh my goodness.
So what do you think? Do you still stand by that? You don't want to discuss it?
Why don't we discuss some other things and then I'll decide on whether we discuss it or not.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
What? No, the police. The 5-0.
It's either that or the fire department. I don't know.
I think it's the 5-0.
Okay.
Yes.
5-0.
Yes.
The men in blue.
The boys in blue.
The boys in blue.
Yes.
Not to be confused with the Blue Man Group.
No, I've heard they're really good.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I mean, the only thing I know is that they play instruments, but they're all blue.
Well, they put blue paint all over themselves, I believe.
Yeah, they put blue paint on themselves. Blue Man Group, yeah.
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 For some reason, when I heard the siren, it made me think of that song "Gangsta Gangsta" by NWA.
Oh,
because I think there's a siren in that song too.
Maybe.
Don't know. That's a good song.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay. I think that I am going to do a deep dive into Studs Terkel.
Okay.
Because we've talked about this since I read the book, but I really enjoyed that book he did called Working
People, right?
I think it's called Working People, what people do all day and how they feel about what they do. From the early 70s. I read it last year, and he has a lot of these like oral history books out, so I think I'm gonna have to do a deep dive into his stuff. Yeah, but on top of that, I'm also really excited to get into more books with you. Like we had talked about doing some David McCullough, and maybe one day we could even do some Studs Terkel. But I'm wondering, where are you right now in a book called Lolita?
So I think I'm at the part where, so Humbert, which is a really funny name. Humbert is supposed to be the doting father, because her mother is gone now, and he is taking, he is being mother and father to her, because that's the only family she's got, it seems like. And where I left off is where he talks to the headmistress, and she convinces him to let her be in a play. And I don't think she knows that it's being produced by, put on by Claire Quilty, because she thinks that Claire is a woman.
Yeah.
But and they're getting into the car because she doesn't want to go back to the school. So I'm at that part.
How are you feeling about the book?
I like it. There's a little bit more there's a little bit more context when it comes to her friends. Like Mona is this girl, but she seems almost boyish because of her voice. And some other people that he's talked about, like he was disappointed in a lot of her friends because he thought that they were gonna be, nymphettes like her.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing there's characteristics to what a nymphette is, and when he met Lolita at 12, she was a nymphette to him, which is really disturbing if you think about it, right? And so he's thinking, maybe I could seduce her and her friends, but he was disappointed with her friends. And also jealous of the guys that she wanted to be around, the boys. And at this point, Lolita is 14. So she has different names. Like at school, she goes by Dolly. Legally, her name is Dolores. Her mother used to call her Lolita or Lo. And he called her Lolita. So she has different names.
Yes.
Yeah. A little bit confusing.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're going to get into, I'm sure, the Claire Quilty part of the book. Yeah.
So last night I'm on Audible. And it's maybe like 11:30. And I'm looking through my collection because I don't remember all the books I have just because I have so many. And I try to get a description of one of the books, but I accidentally end up pushing the download button on my phone. But since I downloaded it, I'm like, okay, maybe I could start on this book. It's called Hollywood Hellraisers. And it's basically this quasi-biography of Marlon Brando, Dennis Hopper, Warren Beatty, and Jack Nicholson.
Oh, wow.
I haven't finished it yet, but I'm enjoying it. But when I'm reading it, I keep thinking to myself, this sounds so familiar. Like every other minute I'm thinking to myself, I must have read this book before.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm meticulous boy.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through my book records and I haven't read it before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's going on, babes, is because I've read books on Warren Beatty before.
Yeah.
And I've read over the years multiple articles on Dennis Hopper, Marlon Brando,
and Jack Nicholson. Wow.
And read books about movies that they've been involved in.
Hmm.
I've heard this information at so many other places that it's just been ingrained in my head.
Wow.
So now that I'm listening to the book, it's less like, that's why I feel I've read it before, if that makes any sense.
Wasn't there a 70s movie called something Rider?
Easy Rider.
Easy Rider.
Well, Easy Rider's from 69, but yeah.
Okay. And that was kind of the introduction to these people like Jack Nicholson and Jane Fonda. And
well, it's really an introduction to, mainstream. You would say to, Peter Fonda, Jack Nicholson, and
Jane Fonda?
No, Peter Fonda.
Oh, Peter Fonda, okay.
And it's directed by Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's a book we might want to consider reading called Easy Riders, Raging Bulls.
Oh, wow.
And I reread it again last year. And it's by Peter Biskind, who also wrote a good biography on Warren Beatty. So there's a lot of different, connections there. That book is great. Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. And the Warren Beatty biography is pretty good too. The movie Easy Rider, I saw when I was 19. I know people love it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really resonate with it.
Mm.
It's basically, if I remember correctly, it's about these motorcyclists who are going on a trip around the country.
That almost sounds like, I think it's called Wild Hogs.
I think Wild Hogs, though, even though I've never seen it, they're supposed to be older in the movie.
Yeah, they are, because Tim Allen's in it, and
Martin
some
Lawrence,
other people. Martin Lawrence,
John
in it.
Travolta.
So they're like in their middle ages.
Yeah.
Middle-aged men, which could actually be funny, but
Mm-hmm.
But these were all young people, though.
Yeah, and they had all been around Hollywood for years and years by then. Like, supposedly, that was going to be Jack Nicholson's last movie, Easy Rider.
Oh, wow, really?
Because he just wasn't having a lot of success.
Okay.
But he was doing well behind the camera because he had, even though it wasn't a financial windfall for the studio, I think that was the year he directed a movie called Head for the Monkees.
Did he direct it?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And he co-wrote it too. He directed stuff with Roger Corman for his company.
Wow.
But he wasn't really an acting success.
Oh, wow.
So he had talked, now people say things, but he had said before that after Easy Rider, his plan was to retire from acting and focus exclusively on writing and directing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And part of me wonders if we would have been better as a society if he would have done that. Now, I love Jack Nicholson. I think he's great.
Mm-hmm.
He's great in 5 Easy Pieces. He's great in Chinatown. He's done other movies.
Terms of Endearment.
Yeah, he's done other stuff that I really enjoy. But
Network.
No, he's not Network.
Yes, he is.
You're thinking Broadcast News.
Oh, I'm sorry. Broadcast News when he was doing a part of a broadcast. I'm sorry.
He's great in that movie, even though it's a small part.
It's a very small part, yeah.
But had he focused on being a writer-director, he probably would have come up with some interesting movies. You know what I mean? That we just didn't get in this reality for various reasons. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an Easy Rider person.
Okay, that's fair.
But I'd give it another shot just because I did see it when I was fairly young. And sometimes you do need to revisit things. Yeah.
You youngin'.
But it was a huge hit and a watershed moment in film history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we might want to read that book, Easy Riders, Raging Bulls.
Uh-oh. Does it talk about Easy Rider and Raging Bull?
They bring up Raging Bull, I think, in the book, but it's really more of focuses on the 70s. And yes, Easy Rider does play into the book a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good book. It's a really good book. Yeah. But first you got to get through Lolita.
Yeah, and there's other books I want to read too after that.
We're going to do 2 Pilgrim's Progress.
books.
and then we're going to go to some David McCullough.
We are?
Yeah, we talked about that, right?
Okay, I
We
guess
are.
we can. But there's other books I want to read by myself too.
You can read books by yourself. I'm not stopping. I read books by myself.
I know, but I mean, I'm not the kind of person that likes to read like 2 books at the same time.
Oh.
I can't.
Then do 3.
I have to focus on one at a time.
Oh.
I'm not that kind of a person. Once I'm focused on one, I'm focused on it until it's done.
Yeah, there's just so many good books out there.
Yes. And you won't get through most of them.
I know.
See, you shouldn't have downloaded that many books, Bubs. You're never going to get through them.
No, but we've talked about this ad nauseum, but
I know.
When I was in my late 20s, I realized that I wasn't going to live long enough to get through my already huge reading list that has since probably tripled. But yes, I'm not going to finish all the books I want to in my lifetime. But if I don't set high goals, I'll probably finish less books than I would have finished, right? So in that sense, it's good to have these lofty reading goals because it gives me something to aspire to, even if I'm not going to achieve it. So here's a question for you, babes.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not dead yet.
No, I am not.
At least that's what we're assuming, but reality is
I'm not. I'm
strange.
not dead yet.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Well, if Neil deGrasse Tyson is right and all reality is happening all at once, then you are dead yet, and you also haven't been born yet. But that's a discussion for another time. Here's my question.
Yes.
And I know you don't know the answer, but I'm going to ask you to speculate for a minute. When you die,
mm-hmm.
and you assuming you go to the good place.
The good place?
Yeah.
It's not called the good place.
Oh.
My goodness. Okay, go on.
Okay. Do you think God will say something to you like, Alana, there's a lot about the world that you didn't know. And some of it was stuff that I was just, keeping from you. But some of it was just like you just didn't have enough time to know everything. Right. And maybe he'll even use me as an example. Like, how Rick wanted to read all these books, but there was no way he was ever going to do it just because of time constraints. And then he looks at you and he says, but I'm going to give you all the knowledge about Earth. Like, do you think that that's a realistic possibility that God might just say, all the knowledge you wanted to have, I'm going to give you now?
I don't know. Maybe he won't have to tell me and I'll already know it.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because I do believe that in some ways when I get there, I'm going to have knowledge that I never had before.
Oh.
So it could be that he will tell me or I won't even have to ask.
Yeah.
Because I'll understand it more.
Nice. You'll have all this knowledge.
We'll understand it by and by.
Yeah.
That's it. There's a hymn called Farther Along, and towards the end of the chorus it says, we'll understand it all by and by.
Nice.
So, I believe, yeah. So, I don't understand it now, but I think I will understand it later.
Well, good. Yeah, it would be cool to get like a whole bunch of knowledge at once.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and again, we're assuming there's an afterlife. We might just die and that's it.
No, I think something does happen afterwards, and there will be people that will be in eternal joy and people that will be in eternal agony.
Oh.
Pain and agony.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that's not you.
Eternal suffering.
Jaylo.
No.
But I don't know, and we've discussed this again ad nauseum. I do kind of believe that there is, if it's not called God, then some sort of higher power. But I'm less and less convinced that there's an afterlife the older I get.
But wouldn't you like to know if there was?
Yeah, of course. No, I'm open to being wrong about that. Don't get it twisted. I love the idea of heaven, but it doesn't strike me as realistic, though.
Why not?
Well, one, why would God want to save humans, right? Why not God say, okay, I'm going to send these dolphins to heaven, but humans, you just go out of existence.
Well, I mean, there's question about whether animals make it to heaven, because when you're talking about the salvation of souls, animals can't make the distinction between right and wrong. They just follow their instincts, right?
But
hold on, I wasn't finished. I heard you talk. Bubs.
What? I was going to make a point, babes.
What?
Okay, the point is this. We don't know for sure. Some of this is speculation, so I'm going to grant you that in advance. But a lot of scientists are now saying they believe that dolphins might be as smart as we are, but their intelligence is so different, we just have trouble understanding it.
Yeah, but you also have to understand that even though humans and animals are, humans and dolphins are both mammals, that doesn't necessarily mean that dolphins are going to end up in heaven. Now, I don't know. The reason why I don't believe that animals can go to heaven is because of this. Because of what I read, when humans, once a person dies and goes to heaven, they won't need any kind of meat source for fuel, right? Because when we're humans, now that we are on Earth right now, right, and we need whatever fuel we can get, whether it's fruits and veggies, but we also need good protein. But now I don't know what kind of food's going to be up there. I know in the Bible it mentions different kinds of fruit, 4 kinds of fruit from the tree. But as far as animals go, because I don't believe that we will need animals to sustain us as far as food goes, I don't know that they'll be up there.
Okay, but we could even expand it off of the animals and say, well, why would we go to heaven? Like, if God is so intelligent, maybe God made some aliens in a galaxy 100 billion light years away, and God made heaven for those aliens, and we just happen to exist as like a byproduct of the universe.
Yeah, I think it's really out there.
But you think it's out there because you haven't really spent time thinking of these ideas. But as somebody who's thought about these ideas since I was around, 9 or 10, it doesn't seem that out there for me.
I think it's out there just because even though there may be speculation that there's aliens out there, I don't think that there is. There isn't enough evidence to support it. There isn't enough evidence to support that aliens exist and that they actually have souls. There may be water in parts of space, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's sustains life. I'm very skeptical about it.
Okay, and I would say there also isn't evidence to disprove aliens. And listen, do I believe there are aliens out there? Absolutely, I do. I'd say there's a 99.9% chance that there is. But you're right, I can't prove that. Mm-hmm. But you also can't prove that aliens don't exist.
I also think that this alien thing has become more of a religion than anything.
In some ways it has.
Yeah.
I'll grant you that with some people. But there could be alien life out there that's a lot more intelligent than us. And I just don't see God creates all these galaxies and all these planets just for us.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I don't know what the planets and the galaxies, what their functions are, so I can't say what they are, but he did create the moon, the stars, and the sun for light. And what I do understand about our light sources is that when Revelation talks about the new heaven, the new earth that will come as the last part of the universe or the world ending, right? Everything will be made new.
Okay.
But I think the only thing I can think about as far as the moon, the stars, and the sun, that's how they function. But I don't know. That's one thing I don't know. I don't know what the planets and the galaxies, what their purposes are. Maybe they're just a part of, they are a part of the heavens and that they're just there. I don't know. I can't tell you, but I am very skeptical when it comes to actually life forms living out in these galaxies and planets. I'm very, very skeptical about it.
Yeah, and again, I can't prove it, but it seems to me more than likely that there's a lot of life out there in outer space.
But if you can't prove it, Okay, if you can't prove it, then what would make you think that there was life out there?
Well, one thing is that there's life here, right?
I
And
know it doesn't mean it's out
it
there.
doesn't mean, but you're asking me why do I think there is? And one of the reasons I think there is because I exist and because you exist. Because life on this planet exists. Well, we know that it's happened at least once where there's one planet with life on it. And
What do you mean?
well, it's happened here on Earth.
No. I'm talking about. I know about Earth, but what about other planets? How would you know that?
Well, you got to let me finish. And so we can speculate. We think there's something. I think we think there's something like at least 100 billion stars that we know about with planets around them, and I think now they think that there's something like 5,000 known exoplanets, which are basically planets with the right environment to produce life as we know it. To me, since we know that life exists on one planet and we know that there's all these other planets with the possibility, the odds seem very likely that there's life on another planet. And if there's life on another planet, then why couldn't there be life on multiple planets? And we're also assuming that life exists like we do. So maybe it's one of those things to where there's life out in space, but it feeds off of like radiation or something like that. And I'm sure an astrophysicist would look at that and say, Rick, that doesn't make any sense, the life on radiation. But I'm just giving you my layman's person's reason why I think it's very, very likely that there's life out there in outer space. And again, I can't prove it, but that's my theory. And some people even believe that we came from other planets. There's a concept, I believe it's called panspermia, where they think that somehow alien DNA got mixed up with animal DNA on Earth a long time ago, and that's how we came to be.
That's insane.
I don't think so.
I
don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true, but I don't think it's insane to speculate that something like that could happen.
I don't know how any scientist could prove that.
But they're not saying they've proven it. They've said that it's a theory.
I know, that's what I mean. I don't know. I mean, if they really wanted to prove that theory could be true, I don't know how they would be able to do that.
Well, I mean, but you could make the argument like, are we like any other creature on this planet? I mean, you would say no. But people would say, okay, so our closest relative is the chimp, but maybe an alien came down here and implanted their DNA in a chimp, and that's how humans came to be. I don't know. But
I think, I know a lot of evolutionists use this argument, but I don't believe that yes, we have similarities to chimps, but I don't believe that chimps are our relatives.
Okay, our DNA is closer to a chimp's DNA than like the African lion is to the lion here in North America. Like our DNA is very similar to chimps. It's like over 99.9% the same.
Yeah, I know a lot of evolutionists like to make that argument, but I just don't think I know that there are similarities, and I heard about the DNA thing, but we did not come from chimps as much as chimps didn't come from us. There's no evidence to prove that. And I know, the question I would ask the evolutionists is, well, if we came from the chimps, and where did the chimps come from? Because they had to come from somewhere. And the Big Bang Theory just does not make any sense in this matter.
Okay.
And I know it's a theory, but it's,
But your thing about, well, where do the chimps come from? That wouldn't be something to ask an evolutionist, because they existed. That's a question you should ask regardless, because they came from someplace irregardless of whether or not we came from the chimps, right? So even if we didn't come from chimps, you could still ask the question, well, where do the chimps come from? Because that's still an interesting question. And part of panspermia, and I'm sure I'm getting part of it wrong, is yes, our DNA could have mixed with, let's say, the DNA of an alien could have mixed with a chimp's DNA, but it's also bacteria could have been planted here that caused life to evolve on planet Earth. Right? So maybe this planet had potential for life, but there was no life on it. So somehow whether it was through an asteroid or through an alien spaceship coming here, bacteria was planted, and that caused life to start growing on this planet. Now, I don't know if any of this is true, but it's an interesting theory, and I also don't know that it's not true.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And so we kind of got off topic a little bit, but I don't necessarily know if I could believe in a heaven, but I find it a lot easier to believe in the idea of a higher power. But I don't necessarily know if that higher power really cares about what we do or cares about us.
Oh, yes, he does. I think so.
You think so? But isn't it in your best interest to think so?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it is.
So I don't know if I can believe you, but what do I know, babes?
What do you know?
No, what do I know? Oh my God. Give me a kiss.
What do you know? Okay.
Kiss. Oh.
Bubs! What's that?
I don't know. I would love to read Fingerprints of the Gods with you by Graham Hancock, who we talked about a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good book. My big issue with it, though, is that every paragraph has footnotes.
Ew.
Yeah, but if you read it, you kind of understand why that is.
Oh, so you don't mind that there's footnotes in it?
I do mind, but I understand why they're there.
Is it like fingerprints of the footnote gods?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Just kidding. Yes. I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And he said something that was interesting. I can't remember if I said it to you, but basically, if God created the universe for us, then it's kind of a wasteful way to do it when you think about it, because why have hundreds of billions of planets that have nothing to do with us if the whole point was to create humans?
Well, I think I think that question is kind of unrealistic.
Tell me why.
Because now I know that this is a theory and this is a question that Neil deGrasse Tyson is asking.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of scientists now, not every scientist, but a lot of scientists are not God-centered. So I understand why they would ask these questions. But I think to assume that it was a waste of time for God to create the universe is ridiculous. And I honestly think that if they really wanted to look, if somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson, I get that he's asking this question, but I don't know that that's the right question to be asking, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, maybe not the universe, but like if God just wanted to create things for us and the reality, why not just create the sun and the earth and then just be done with it? Why does he need to create hundreds of billions of other planets?
Because maybe we don't have, maybe that's something that we don't need to understand right now. Because there's a lot of things about the creation of the universe that I don't quite understand, and I'll even admit that.
Uh-oh.
I don't understand why God created it the way that He did, but I also don't question it either, because I think that there is a order and a design that He went by, and there's just some things that are going to remain that will be mysteries for now, and I think that we can't know all of God's secrets. And I think that's the interesting part, is that we don't need to know all of God's secrets. Mm-hmm. We can try to do as much research scientifically and try to say that there is intelligent life out there or whatever, but I think in some ways we don't need to know all those secrets for a reason that for good reason.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And maybe really God created the universe for crocodiles. So What?
Oh my goodness. Just want to see if you're awake, Bubs. What? Bubs.
What?
I didn't say that.
I give me a kiss.
No. Hey.
Because you started a sickle war. Do you want a kiss or do you want a war?
Okay.
I give me a kiss.
Why not a hug?
Because I love you.
Somebody's stomach went.
Oh my goodness. I love
you. Is it okay if we segue into what I wasn't comfortable talking about last week?
Yes.
Okay. I got permission to talk about this with family and friends, and hopefully nobody will watch this. But anyway,
you actually had to get permission from family?
No, from
because you said I got permission to talk about. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
My family doesn't really know much about the. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I went on an adventure with some students that I have a class with, and this was called a challenge course, and it wasn't just my group that went, but other groups of employees and students and interns and whatever, and this was required, whether or not you were in the class that I was in, or whether or not you worked there or were an intern. So basically, my group and I went to the forest. This was at a place called Camp Collins. You know where that is roughly? It's close to this park called Oxbow Park.
Yep.
It's in the woods. Mm-hmm. Beautiful area. It was nice and cool, and it wasn't so rainy. It was kind of misting, so it wasn't a downpour. And we went last Friday, actually, on the 27th. And it was an all-day thing. We all piled into the van about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
In the AM.
Left from the commission, and everybody wore sleep shades, including myself, except for the people that were guiding and looking, watching for stuff, because they already went. They already did the challenges. And so I won't talk about all of the challenges, because I am going to be getting pictures, and I think there might be even some video of it. But one of the challenges that we had to do was something called the leap of faith, where you climb up these wooden pegs and you climb up these and these are placed on this tree, and you're harnessed in a harness, and you're tied to a rope, and you climb up the wooden pegs and these round staples, which are really hard to climb on, by the way, and hard to grab on because they're kind of slick. And the trick is to get up to the top if you can, and find the platform, and then jump off of it. Now, I went up a quarter of the way. I got the harness on and the helmet, because I thought, okay, why don't I get the harness on and the helmet and see if I want to go through with it? I get up to a quarter of a way there, and I told the guide, I said, I'm not going to go any further because my body doesn't want me to go up too far. So so each of the people that went up had to give a life goal before they jumped off or swung away from the tree, right?
Yeah.
And so I was getting ready to do that. I said my life goal. I grabbed onto the staples because I was feeling myself swinging away from the tree, because one of the guys was trying to swing me away. And I remember saying, "This is really scary." And then the guide replies and said, "Yes, it is really scary." And so I finally let go of it. But as I was letting go of it, I swing backwards away, but then I start to spin for, I don't know how long it was. It might have been at least a minute, and I was terrified for that 1 minute. And then I finally stopped. I was finally stabilized, And then the group who was holding the rope finally slowly let me down, where I was reaching ground. So that was probably the scariest part of the whole adventure.
It almost sounds like a pendulum swing a little bit.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Are you actually sitting on the pendulum swing?
Yeah.
Or do you spin when you
You can spin a little bit, and there are people pulling too.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that, because you actually have to climb the tree.
Okay.
And you're harnessed into your thing, right?
At least I was when I did it.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite like the swing, because you're not starting off, are you starting off from off the ground, or?
You get into this little harness thing, and there's people pulling you upwards, and then they let go, and then you start swinging.
Do they let go really fast, or how does it go?
They usually let go pretty fast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And do you just bounce?
You just swing from one end to the other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did it make you feel dizzy?
No, I really liked it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, when I was spinning, from where I was, I didn't know what direction I was going in, and I felt like I was going forward and upside down, so it felt very weird to me, and you'll probably see pictures of that. But I have to say I'm thankful I did it, because even though it was not, everybody has a different top, for with what you are able to push yourself in doing. And I think it's okay to say, hey, I can only go this far and no farther than that. And other people can say, hey, I can go up to the top of the tree and I can jump off the platform, no problem. But I'm glad I did it, because at least I did it. I did what I could do, and I came away saying I'm thankful for doing that. And I felt like the people I went with, I felt a lot more close to them, because of how encouraging they were, and it really pushed me to push myself a little bit. And it really taught me a lot about myself, really. So I'm thankful I did that.
What was your life goal?
To take every opportunity as much as I can.
Nice.
Take whatever opportunity comes my way if I choose to.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you choose to take it.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Take every opportunity that comes my way, whatever,
Nice. Well, I'll give you some opportunities later on there, Jaylo. But
oh my goodness,
I'm really glad that you had fun, babes.
I did, and we did pretty well just following people's voices, because everybody had a sleep shade on that was participating, except for the people that weren't. That were observing, and we didn't use any sighted guides. I don't want to call it human guide. I can't stand that term.
That's fine.
We didn't have to use sighted guides. We made sure that they made sure that we got around the roots and the branches and the bushes and all that stuff. And some of the activities we actually finished a lot quicker than we were supposed to.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a fun day. It was a fun full day, but after that day, the night of, I was mentally exhausted, and everybody else was too. We were just so tired. And I had a particularly long week that week, and I'm just like, I'm mentally dead. And that's why I said, don't come over the next day, please.
Oh my goodness.
I would not have been a good person to cook with that on Saturday, because I would have been like, I'm so tired.
Yes.
I can't think. But I'm glad I did it.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, babes.
Yes.
It's possible that this is a good segue into what happened this morning, because it also involved cooking.
Oh, no.
So, should we talk about this?
I suppose you might as well.
All right. Alana and I earlier this week were discussing what to make, and I said that there were some good copycat beef and cheddar recipes. The Arby's beef and cheddar recipes. Mm-hmm. So I sent her a link to a couple recipes. One's more fancy. It's the Joshua Weissman take on it. And the other is, I just think, some lady talking who used to work at Arby's.
Yes, yeah.
And by the way, don't worry, we're also making chicken tiki masala tomorrow, which is my favorite. And I can take some home if you want, but we'll get there when we get there. So Alana watches the video, and my thought is we're not going to do the Joshua Weissman thing where we make the bunch from scratch and every single aspect of it is, fancier. Mm-hmm. But we also could do a little bit better than just like the standard. Mm-hmm. The lady who used to work at Arby's. We could fancy it up a bit.
Right.
And we didn't really talk about it because I was in kind of a mood last night for obvious reasons. My bank account had just been hacked and, all that good stuff.
And what I should have done was I should have recorded it when I had the chance. I made some audio notes about what should be in the recipe for the sandwiches because I forgot the dressing.
Yeah, I think it's called Catalina sauce.
Yeah, and I tried to add it to my order at the last minute, and I just could not do it.
So I'm just thinking that Alana's either going to get the Catalina sauce or we're going to make it. And we should discuss it more. But I go to meet you this morning. Mm-hmm. And at first you're like, I didn't want sauce on the Arby's beef and cheddar. I don't like the sauce. So I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. We discussed. And then you're like, actually, I forgot. I'm like, you didn't want it or you forgot? Yeah, why? I forgot it. And I try to get clarification, which is like really, sometimes talking to Alana is like that. What? Let me put it to you this way. Hold on, babe. No. Let me put it to you this way. For somebody, okay, you want to put your hands behind your back, babe?
No.
Do you want to promise not to tickle me?
I can't make any guarantees.
I know you get triggered, but let me say this. Do you promise not to tickle me?
Or we'll see. Okay. We'll see.
For somebody, hold on. For somebody who is not dyslexic, hold on. For somebody who is not dyslexic, you talk like somebody who could pass. Hold on.
You said that so many times, Bubs.
I know I did it. You could pass. Are we tickling?
You say sorry.
No, that's a compliment.
No, it's not a compliment. You're assuming, you're making it sound like I've always been dyslexic or whatever.
No, I said you could pass.
Okay, you say sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
You want a tickle, Tris?
Tickle.
All right, give me a kiss. So when Alana starts telling me this, I don't know, it takes me like a few minutes to decipher. Did she not want to have sauce? Did she just not want to order it? Did she forget? And then finally, I am able to decipher that she forgot to order the sauce and didn't order the ingredients for it. So I say, go back there and order it. If you can. She can. And she's like, oh, well, we'll make it this weekend and next weekend. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, if we're going to make it next weekend, we should make a fancier version. Because as it sounds now, the version we're going to make isn't going to be like the Arby's version. And I was kind of thinking we do like a hybrid, somewhat fancy, but somewhat not fancy. So I don't know if we're going to make it next weekend or not. But that caused a little bit of bone of contention between me and my Jaylo over here. So she's kind of upset. I don't know why. Well, you were upset because I said next time record the ingredients, and that kind of set you off.
Well, no, I was okay the first time you said it. I was like, okay.
Well, but I repeated it.
And you repeated it again.
Because we have had this discussion in relation to other recipes. So I wanted to make sure that it came across that you should record the ingredients. And you got upset, apparently, because I repeated it. And then...
But it wasn't just once. It wasn't just twice. It was more than
right.
It was more than that. And I was trying to, and I probably didn't express it very well.
Yeah.
But I was trying to express that when you repeat stuff like that, it makes it sound like you don't trust me with getting any ingredients. And that's why I was a little bit annoyed.
Oh.
And maybe I shouldn't have been, but I kind of felt like when this has happened before, and it's happened before, and yeah. I will admit there were things that I should have been paying attention to, and I really should have made an audio note to myself about those ingredients, and for some reason I did not, and that's why I forgot the Catalina dressing. But knowing what I know now and knowing what you know now, I think we've come to consensus where this actually might be a better way of handling it, where you either text me or maybe even leave me a quick voicemail to say, hey, don't forget this.
Well, since I don't know what ingredient you may or may not forget, what I'm going to do is, because we usually talk about what we're going to make the day before, I will text you this saying, hey, babes, if it's a new recipe, make sure you record all the ingredients and make sure you order everything that you recorded on the ingredients if you don't have them on the list.
Right. And then you also said that if there was something that we did make, you would also remind me and say, hey, make sure that you listen to the notes, because that way that keeps in the back of my mind. And even though my memory is still pretty sharp, there are times where I will forget, and it's whatever ingredient, like the Catalina dressing was something that I wanted to get, and for some reason it didn't register with me that I forgot it until this morning. Yes. And so anyway, that was my bad. But I think we have a better way of handling this, hopefully.
I hope so, babes. Yeah. Well, good. Good.
So, I'm not mad anymore.
Yeah, and I thought that was unfair to be mad at me, but I was a little bit upset with you too. So we were both kind of pissy with each other, which is fine.
Yeah, that happens, but
Yeah. And we know more. And again, I do think if we make it, I don't necessarily know that I want to do beef and cheddars 2 weekends in a row. But if we do make it 2 weeks in a row, we got to make it a little bit more fancy.
Or if we don't want to make it next week, we can plan for it like in a month or something.
Yeah, see, that's what would be more where I would go.
Okay.
Some interesting cooking news, babes, that I will not be able to try because I can't order from Amazon right now.
Oh.
Until I get my new card. But a friend of mine this morning sent me, like, he was talking about there's a way to smoke things inside if you have like a sous vide and what's called a smoke gun. So I watched some videos on it. I don't know if it'll taste quite as good as smoking meat, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Yeah. So
very good.
I'm excited about that there, Jaylo.
Well, and another thing that I should talk about, which I'm very, very excited about, because I made 3 batches of scrambled eggs in my meal prep class. And I realized that I like it better with milk, because milk also makes it fluffier than it would be if I made it with water, and it's not dry. And I like scrambled eggs that are moist and fluffy. And so it's possible that I may go ahead and buy myself a small Teflon pan.
Nice.
Or maybe I'll have somebody else buy me a Teflon pan.
Well, good. Well, hopefully that somebody else knows what they're doing. And time will tell with that one there. Jaylo.
Maybe I might ask you to get me one.
Maybe.
Yes. Because they're easy to clean, and I worked with Teflon a little bit in my past, and they are really good to work with.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so there is a guy named Mr. Beast who's getting some pushback. So I saw like a news headline for a YouTube video. It was, I want to say it was on Breaking Points, because you know how, or maybe you don't, but Crystal Ball will do like these talking point segments. Yeah. And the title of one of her videos was something like Mr. Beast cures 1,000 people of blindness.
Yeah.
And so my mind goes to, this sounds like some cult shit to me. You know what I mean? Like you claim to be a miracle worker, and this is like right before everybody starts drinking the Kool-Aid and dying. So I was interested to watch it, but apparently the way it worked was he found people who I believe had cataracts and paid for their cataract surgery. And
Yeah.
people online start, and by the way, I know the name Mr. Beast. I haven't really watched any of his videos just because I just haven't. It's nothing either pro or against him. It's just I just haven't. There's other things that I've gravitated towards, but people were giving him pushback because they were saying that this isn't real philanthropy because you're doing this for a YouTube video. And my thought kind of is, okay, yes, and it's also helping 1,000 people who otherwise wouldn't be able to see. Um, so why do we need to hate on this guy for doing something that helps so many people?
Yeah. Well, when you told me that story, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit strange, but at the same time, he did something to help people.
Yeah, and yeah, that helped him in return. But if you're going to help 1,000 people in such a significant way, then I really don't care if you benefited that much from it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that a good deed is a good deed.
Yep.
And if you benefit, if you get a lot out of it and they get a lot out of it, then more power to you.
Exactly.
And a lot of people will say, well, you're on YouTube, you're profiting off of money, but not every video on YouTube is profiting off of money.
In fairness, I think with Mr. Beast, he makes a ton of money off of his YouTube videos. But still, I could make the argument, well, what about the reporter who does a piece on a blind girl, getting raped, and then they raise money for her, and then that reporter gets some, shine because of it. Does that mean that reporter's a bad guy because the story helped his career?
No, not at all.
So why can't we have...
I mean...
Yeah, it's good. It's good that this guy
and people like to say, oh, this person is biased because they want the money, but why not, get the story from the source?
Yeah, and if money is a thing that inspired Mr. Beast to do the right thing in this situation, then hey, why not use money for good? We're always hearing how bad it is for people. If it can be used for good in this situation, I say go ahead with it.
I think anything, as long as it's not an excess, can be used for good.
Yeah.
Money, they say that the love of money is the root of all evil, and I absolutely believe it. But if money can be used to be generous towards someone, to help somebody out, you get a lot more out of it than you went going into it.
Yeah. I read this crazy book last weekend called The Retirement Heist, and I told you about it.
Yeah.
It's basically the story about how from like the mid to late 80s until now, companies have been messing with their employees' pension funds to give more money to their executives, and it's screwing up the retirements of the poor and working class people in this country. But people would rather talk about what Mr. Beast is doing and be critical of that than worry about all the retirees who can barely make a living because companies like IBM screwed them out of their pensions.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Okay.
How you feeling, babes?
I've heard the name IBM, and they used to be very big in the 80s. And I think, I don't know about the 90s, but I know I've heard about them.
They were big in the 90s.
80s and 90s, yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard that they had not in this book, but I've heard other places that they had ties to the Nazis.
Wow.
I know Immortal Technique talked about that in the song. I think it's in that song Watch Out, where he's like, I think it's like closer than the Nazis and IBM, something like that.
Yeah, wow.
And then there was a book about it. I think it's called IBM and the Third Reich. I hope that's the name of it. I never read the book. I got an EPUB copy of it years and years and years ago, but it was like it was a distorted EPUB, so I had issues like opening the file. But I want to study that more. But I have heard that allegedly the company had ties to the Nazis.
Oh, wow.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
People politicians especially, love to say that corporations are people, right?
Are people or they're bad?
No, they love to say the corporations are people. The Supreme Court has said that corporations are people under the law. And my question is, well, when people die because of the negligence of the corporation, and if the corporation is a person, but we can't execute a corporation, then should we have real discussions on this in this country about giving the death penalty to some corporate executives? And I'd say yes.
I don't know. I mean, and you're assuming that every single corporation is bad, right? I don't think every single corporation is bad.
So let me give the example that made me think of this even more this week. And it wasn't IBM, ironically. I guess maybe IBM didn't help the situation, though. There was a thing with a power company out in California.
Uh-huh.
And through some of their actions, some fires were caused.
Uh-huh.
And these were multiple fires, and something like, I want to say 4 people died in these fires back in like 2020 or 2021. And when I'm hearing the story and finding out that their maximum fine is going to be 10,000 person for each death. And also, by the way, it destroyed so many resources that I think the state of California lost like $150 million. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so there's a loss of money and a loss of life, and we're supposed to think that this corporation is a person. Why can't we have a discussion about sending these executives of this electric company to jail, and maybe have a discussion about putting them on death row?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's well, I don't know what I think about that, honestly.
That's fair.
I really don't.
Yeah. I'll let you digest that, and maybe tomorrow we'll revisit it. But there's that, who's the guy? Robert Reich had that great quote, and a friend of mine had it on a t-shirt, and the quote was something like, "I'll believe that corporations are people when Texas executes one." I like that.
Okay.
What do you think about that, Jaylo?
I don't know. I don't really have an opinion at this time.
Yeah.
Oh,
whoa.
No, yeah, guy, no.
All right, give me a kiss.
No.
Oh, well, then how are we going to have a tickle kiss if you don't give me a kiss?
No, okay.
All right, give me a kiss. Hey, give
Stop
me a kiss.
it.
All right, then give me a kiss. Give me a kiss.
Okay.
Very good, babes.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, babes.
Yeah?
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Oh, I remembered one last thing. You go first.
No, I'm done.
There's a weird case in the news about some lady who was killed back in 1974, and they did like DNA. They had DNA evidence that they were able to test recently, and the guy who they think killed her is a serial killer, and they had her trial. It was only for a week and a half, and he got like an additional 140 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it's crazy that a murder would go unsolved for that long.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finally put the pieces together because of new technology.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of cool.
But then I asked the question, well, wait a minute. What about people like O.J. Simpson, who was convicted of something else and was serving out 12 years, but yet they were, I mean, I know that people make the argument, well, he hit his head too many times, but that doesn't make it an excuse, that doesn't make it an excuse for him to kill his ex-wife.
Well, one, we don't know if the DNA evidence in the OJ trial still exists. So, like, each case is different. But, yeah, that doesn't make it okay for OJ to kill just because he had head injuries. At the same point, we didn't know what head injuries did back then. So we also didn't know enough to give people the proper treatment for head injuries back in the early 90s. But, so yeah, we have to take that part into consideration, too.
And then what about that book he wrote? I mean, why would he write a book called If I Did It? It's almost like... Paid. But still...
Listen, I think OJ did it. But
I think so too.
It was not proven in a court of law.
Not even the bloody glove and the...
Listen, if I was on the jury, I would have voted to convict, but I wasn't on the jury, and neither were you. So he got off.
I know, and it's, I've watched some court cases, not a lot, but what I don't understand is like what inadmissible evidence is and what is admissible, what can be admissible. I never got that.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a philosophical argument. I think OJ is guilty of murder, but it wasn't proven in the court of law until the civil trial. And as a result, he will not be spending the rest of his life behind bars. And I don't know if that DNA evidence still exists. And if it does, it's probably in, precinct somewhere lost. And I don't know how many people really want to dredge up that whole thing again. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, that Tyree Nichols thing is crazy.
Yeah, I have a few opinions on that.
They just beat that guy to death.
Well, yeah, I understand. But here's the thing, though. Now, I understand that there are people that say that he should have complied, and that and there was also video footage of him grabbing for their gun. At the same time, having said that, he would have been able to comply if they didn't go in there and just take him out of the car. And these were black men too.
But they were officers, though.
They were black police officers, yes. They were very forceful and took him out of the car. It was just, the whole thing was just bad. The whole thing was horrible. I think that that the police chief is doing an investigation on this whole thing, and it sounded to me like they were not trained to do this kind of work. They weren't trained to, and this is supposed to be a traffic stop.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. It's not just these cops who killed him that were bad. There were other people who were bad because supposedly, I wasn't there, I haven't seen all the footage, but there were other cops who were just watching this go on and chose not to intervene. And there were also EMT workers who chose not to do anything when Tyree Nichols is dying. And I don't know the specifics. I wasn't there. I don't know if he was trying to reach for their gun or not.
He was. Okay. I actually saw quite a bit of the video.
Okay, well, I didn't. So yeah. That's why I'm telling you I don't know. But it's possible if he was trying to reach for their weapon, which I don't know, he might have just been doing that because it was 5-on-1 and all 5 of them had guns and he didn't, and they were beating the shit out of him.
But as a citizen, it is actually not a good idea to reach for the officer's gun.
Right, but you can say that now and that may be a rational argument, but if 5 cops are beating you up and they all have guns, I'm not going to think to myself, well, as a citizen, I shouldn't reach for their guns. I'm going to think to myself, I got to do whatever I can in this situation to get out of it. And the fact that there were other cops just looking at this and not stepping in seems to me that there is a lot of problems with this police department.
Yeah, and I think that there is definitely further investigation, but I saw quite a bit of the video, and it was really, really, really disturbing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You know that I disagree with defund the police. Now, having said that, while I completely disagree with it, you got to understand why people would want that. And it's not just that they want chaos. It's that a lot of people feel with a lot of justification that officers just are thugs, basically. They're just legalized thugs.
I don't believe every single officer wants to kill. I honestly don't think that they meant to kill this guy. I think that these guys were not trained. They were probably new on the job. They shouldn't have done what they did, and I hope that they are taken off the force.
I do too.
But what I'm saying is, a lot of police officers don't want to use force now because they don't want to be framed for being racist.
Right, but you got to understand why people feel that way.
No, I get that, but I also think it's being used as an excuse.
Some people it is, but some people have legitimate grievances with the police officers.
No, I get that. I'm not saying that these things don't happen.
Okay.
I'm saying that most police officers generally don't want to use force right now because there's so much racial unrest, and white police officers are being blamed for a lot of things, but a lot of the stuff that happens isn't just by white police officers, but in this case it was performed by black police officers, and a lot of the media will blame the white cops automatically because they think that the white cops are the only villains, but that's not true. And I think that needs to be talked about. And generally police officers really don't want to use force.
Right, but it needs to be talked about, but it shouldn't be overemphasized. So saying, okay, well, it was black police officers this time, so we should just completely take it off of race.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I know that's not what you're saying, but some people might look at it like, then the discussion of race ends here. But I believe that police officers in general have a bias against black people.
I don't believe that at all.
I'm telling you what I believe. I believe that the police officers do. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. So while I disagree with defund the police, I do understand why a lot of people want it.
Well, here's something to think about. The reason why there's a lot of those things happening is that a lot of the places where crime happens is in urban areas. Let's just be real. There's a lot of crime in urban areas. The media is not reporting on black crime or Mexican on Mexican crime. A lot of times they'll only report on the white police officer ganging up on a black person, and that's why you think it's so biased. And I don't think that they're biased. I think that they generally want to do their jobs, and they really don't want to act so forcefully right now because of what's going on.
See, I don't know what the percentage is of good police officers versus bad ones.
I mean, I would suggest that you talk to a retired police officer at a precinct or that used to work at a precinct.
Yeah, I'm not going to get the types of answers I want because that person's going to have a bias too. Because if they were a cop, of course they're going to want to protect their cop buddies. And what I was about to say is, I think the percentage of bad cops is actually pretty high.
I don't believe that.
Well, let's consider a few things. So it's not just like, let's go with the Tyree Nichols thing. It's not just that 5 cops beat this man to death. A couple of cops just watched this happen and didn't intervene. And there's also, if these cops were so bad, what I understand is they were all on the job for a number of years. How come there aren't more reports of police officers trying to turn these guys in and saying what horrible people they were? And this is one case. Like, we could go to Uvalde. How come 400 police officers just thought it was cool that a kid was shooting up the school?
I understand that, but they also, I don't think it's fair that I also don't think it's, I think there needs to be a discussion on both sides, because yes, there are people that feel like they have been brutalized by cops, but not every situation is a Serpico situation.
No, but I do think that there's probably more Serpico situations than people would have assumed 10 years ago.
I also think that the people that are for defund the police, I know you're not, but a lot of people will say, well, they assume that immediately there's a bias, and I just cannot. I can't go with that.
See, I do go with that.
I can't go with that, and it's easy for you to say because you're not a police officer. So I honestly think that you may actually get surprising answers if you took a visit to a precinct, or you talked to a retired police officer, what this person would say, because yes, there there are bad cops on the force. I think the percentage has been blown out of proportion.
Okay, but I can make the counter argument and say it's easy for you to say that there's not a bias in a police department because you're not a young black man. And I could say, well, why don't you go to a predominantly black church and talk to some of the men who frequent the church and see if they've had issues with cops for no good reason. I could make that argument as well.
Well, what about the cops that have been accused of things that they haven't done?
Yeah, but what about all the cops who've gotten away with stuff that they shouldn't have gotten away with, and we don't even know about it because people like Kamala Harris don't believe in body cameras?
Yeah, I think it's a very complex issue. I think that there are good cops that have been villainized.
Absolutely.
That should not have been villainized. But to say that they have a bias, I think that's I don't think it should be a good conclusion. I think that there needs to be, I think that people should be able to give their concerns to police officers and say, hey, this is why these people think that that this department should be defunded or that the force should be defunded, but I don't agree with it, even though there are some questions I have. And just like how people can write to politicians or their Congress people, why couldn't citizens write to police officers?
Well, it's also, why can't we have a national law saying that cops mandatory have to wear body cameras? Why can't we do that? Why can't we? Because if they're not doing anything wrong, or at least if their mistakes are reasonable ones and not out of proportion, then you would think if I was a good cop just trying to do my thing, I would want body cams because I'm not trying to break the law. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. So why can't we just say body cams should be a national thing?
Well, and then there's also instances where citizens have killed police officers too.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that police officers are all bad, but what I am saying is I think the percentage of bad police officers versus good is a lot higher than people think. So think about this.
I obviously disagree with you on
right,
that.
But let's go off of this. Let's go to George Floyd for a second. So there were three cops who stood by as that one guy had his knee on George Floyd's throat.
Mm-hmm.
You really think that nobody in the precinct knew that these were all bad cops?
I can't answer that question.
But
I don't know.
The evidence would suggest that people knew that these were bad
we're looking at this from outsiders. We really don't know what's going on. I mean, I could make an assumption, but all we're doing is assuming stuff.
Right, but we're assuming stuff, though, based on the evidence we have before us. And the evidence would suggest that many people in that precinct knew that there were at least 4 bad cops there, yet they were continued to walk the streets.
I mean, I don't like what they did, obviously. I don't like what they did, but I mean, it's so easy for us to make that, assumptions that I don't know. I can't answer that question.
And what I'm trying to say is, listen, nobody's perfect. So
I mean, I honestly don't think that a police officer in general will go out and say, "Oh, I want to kill I'm a minority because I can." I don't think that. I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's like that, but I do think that there is a bias against black people, especially black men in police forces. And I would also say there's a lot of cops who look the other way. And to me, if you look the other way, I don't know if you're just as guilty, but there is some culpability.
I think a lot of it is what they were taught in the black community, because when they were children, and a lot of these fear tactics have been taught by people in their own community, and it isn't just because of brutality. It's because their mothers or fathers were saying things like, "Don't ever trust a police officer because you're a black man," and they grow up hating police officers.
Okay, do you think that some of that might come because their parents came from a time before body cams when a police officer could just go to a black person and beat them up and there would be no recourse? That might be some of the reason why these parents teach this stuff.
It's possible, but it may not be from their parents. It may be from propaganda. I don't know. I mean, there's just other things to consider. It's not just that a black person in their neighborhood was killed, but then you're also not taking into account, or rather the media is taking into account, that there are young black men that are killing fellow young black men. And the reason why these police officers are in the neighborhood is because there's affluent crime in these neighborhoods, and a lot of these neighborhoods are urban, big urban neighborhoods.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of things there's a lot of things that go inside with,
and that's why I'm saying defund the police is like a stupid thing,
mm-hmm.
but I understand why it's a thing, and I understand why some people gravitate to it, and that, again, that doesn't make it the right thing to do. I think defund the police is stupid. I would go more with reform the police, but having said that, I understand why a lot of people are gravitated to, and it's hard not to say that you don't understand it when you see this type of stuff time and time again, and you have to think about the things you don't see, because body cams aren't every place.
But there also has to be responsibility from the parents to make sure that these kids, and a lot of them are young teenagers or even young adults, they are not teaching their kids to not provoke a police officer. You don't go up to a police officer, you don't take their gun away, you don't try to tackle them to the ground, because eventually they are going to fight you off.
Okay, like I said, I didn't see the full Tyree Nickel thing.
No, I'm not saying it happened there. I'm just saying in general, these parents have to be responsible for their to make sure that these kids, and you have to think about the other side too. It's not just a police officer's fault, but these parents aren't telling their kids, hey, you cannot bother a police officer when they're on the job. You just don't do it.
But I don't know how often that really goes on. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I don't know if that goes on all the time. And by the way, white people do that too. Like, I have relatives of mine who just, harass police officers,
and that's
or did
good.
back in the day. So let's not just say that it's like, oh, it's all black parents not doing this. White people do that too.
I'm not saying that it's just minorities, but I'm saying that also, you have to also think about the other side. You can say that the police officers are biased, but you also have to think about, where are the parents who should be taking note about what their kids are doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Because when I was growing up, I was never told that the police officers were mean. I was always told that if I was in trouble, go to a police officer and they'll take care of it. I also was told that you don't bother the police officer when they're working.
Absolutely.
Just like you don't bother a person's service dog when it's working.
Exactly, but it's a multi-pronged thing, and I'm not saying that there aren't issues with the citizens. There absolutely are, but that doesn't excuse a lot of what we're seeing with police officers.
But I will say this, like, especially and it's not just the police officers that have killed people either by accident or on purpose. What about the police officers that have been involved in sex crimes? Because some of them have either drug or sex crimes. They also have to. There needs to be some background checks.
Well, and there needs to be consequences too.
Yes, there needs to be consequences. If there isn't any.
Like there was, and it's easy to pick on this, but there is a reason why. There was that case of that drunk white police officer, and she goes into this black guy's apartment complex because she thinks it's hers because she's an alcoholic, and she kills him and only gets 10 years in prison.
Oh, I remember that.
And by the way, the judge gave her a hug.
And she was crying, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
In my opinion, that lady should have got the death penalty.
I agree, because if she was that intoxicated, she shouldn't have been on the job.
And are we going to have a discussion in this country about maybe sending some of those police officers from Uvalde, Texas to jail? I think there should be a discussion about that.
Or at least stripped of their licenses.
I think some of them should go to jail.
Yeah, because they were not alert. They were not vigil.
Yeah.
They didn't want the parents to get through. No. They failed. They failed these parents. They failed these kids.
But you do understand that's a problem too, is we talk about accountability when it comes to citizens, but it's rarely discussed in a way that it should be as far as police officers go.
No, I agree. I do think that there needs to be, because even police officers have committed murders outside of their job.
Yeah.
And they have, they've in public they look a different way than they do in private, and they look like the pillar of the community, and that they would never ever do something. But I've heard cases where they've actually committed real life murders.
And that doesn't mean that there's no good police officers out there. But what it does mean is that shouldn't be the default assumption, I think. We shouldn't just assume that because somebody has the uniform of a police officer, that automatically makes them one of the good guys.
Well, you also have, well, I mean, anyway, we can go on and on and on in circles about this whole thing, but it seems like it's a very complicated issue.
Yes. Do we want to talk about Tucker Carlson getting triggered because M&Ms are no longer sexy?
I have a problem with that. Well, I mean, the M&M thing, they're trying to make it, I don't really care much about that. I just care about the fact that the people at the M&M's Mars company want to have all female M&Ms, and I think it's ridiculous because they're just M&Ms, and they've always been male characters and female characters.
See, I would make the argument, I think it's ridiculous that the right cares so much about this. For people who, babes.
Ow!
Oh, are you right? Yeah, you hit your head.
Yeah, I am.
All right, give me a kiss. For people who spend so much time talking about how they hate cancel culture, it seems very hypocritical. No, I never believe that, but that's what they want to say, is that they're
wait, tell me. Wait, hold on. Tell me what he was upset about.
What I heard is that Tucker Carlson was upset that M&Ms, they changed the design for the commercials and that they're no longer considered sexy.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. I personally don't care, to tell you the truth.
Okay, good. Because to me, it's like, if you guys want to spend so much time talking about how you're pro-freedom and the left is cancel culture, and yet, and yet you get so upset when a company changes its campaign, that might be a little bit of a sign that I
never heard about they're not sexy anymore, and I could care less because I can't see them anyway.
Yeah, but I like the way that M&M kind of owned them, because they choose I think they chose Leslie Jones to be their spokesman, so it's no longer going to be M&Ms, and I believe Leslie Jones is like super lib, so I thought it was like a cool way.
Yeah, you would. You like those big libs.
Yeah, but and Tucker Carlson,
big libs.
Don't you think it's kind of weird, babes, that Tucker Carlson,
I never heard it, I don't care,
finds M&M sexy?
Where's your noise?
Where's your vagina noise?
No. Hey, stay away from there.
All right. Well, babes.
I don't care. I don't. This issue is really dumb.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, I never heard it, so it really doesn't matter to me. I just like eating M&Ms.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you squeezed me. I think we can agree that there are positions that both sides take that are not a good look. And the M&M thing is maybe not the best look for the conservative movement.
Well, I don't even know the whole story, so it doesn't really, I don't really care, to tell you the truth. Nice. I mean, M&Ms are M&Ms, I don't care.
Oh, good.
Anyway,
babes.
Yeah?
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. We talked about a lot.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And overall, it's been a good afternoon. I'm glad that my groceries got here after we got here.
I am too.
Thankfully.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping the sandwiches turn out at least as good as they can be.
They will not be as good as the Arby's beef and cheddar because we don't have all the ingredients.
I know, Bubs. You've said it a million times.
Okay.
You don't have to repeat it again.
Sorry.
You don't want me to get upset with you again
No,
in the middle, towards the end of our podcast.
I don't. I do not want that to happen.
Yeah, you just watch it. No chocolate for you.
What I like to say, babes, is I'm the only one I know in a relationship who I get in trouble with my girlfriend if she does something wrong.
That's not exactly true. You get in trouble not necessarily because I do something wrong, but because you have to repeat that I did it wrong.
Like, it's not just that I have to make sure that I'm on, the correct path. I have to hope and pray that my Jaylo is on the correct path, because if she's not, I'm gonna get it.
First off, you don't know how to pray, and secondly, you're not always on the correct path.
Oh my goodness.
You're just as human as I am, and you're just as flawed as I am.
Well, if there is a heaven, I'm going to go to the good place, and I hope you make it there too, babes. What? Well, I love you, babes.
Okay, it's enough now.
All right, give me a kiss.
No.
Well, then tickle for
Okay.
Okay. Oh my goodness, you bit my nose.
Not really.
Oh, you squeeze it.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. All right, babes. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I said no.
All right, well, just making sure that whoa.
But we talked about a lot.
We did.
Actually.
Yes. All right, then.
Okay.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.